I tried walking with a weighted vest for 30 days to discover some of the surprising benefits, specifically for women over the age of 40. Now, I don't know about you, but like many women that I speak to, and myself included, weight loss or even just sustaining your body weight once you get over the age of 40, it just changes. The things that you used to do just don't work the same. You only need to look at a chocolate bar and you gain weight around your midsection. Believe me, even as a health coach, and I'm also dealing with PCOS symptoms as well of midlife, and I feel the frustrations that many of you do, and I'm always delving into how we can optimize our midlife health and fitness without having to add any extra time to your already busy schedule. I'm all about working smarter, not harder these days, because I definitely do not have the time to add in more things. Enter in the weighted vest. It's not exactly a new concept, but it seems to be gaining popularity again, and for good reason, because there is now showing lots of research to back up its benefits. So I'm someone who regularly walks between 10 and 15,000 steps per day. I have two big dogs that need lots of exercise, so I didn't add any more walking to my schedule. We're simply doing my existing walks, but just adding some weighted vests, and I wasn't even adding it on every single walk. It was just 3 to 4 times per week throughout this experiment. So we're going to talk about some of the science, how it backs it up, and then what was my experience. So the science behind using a weighted vest, it's simply about adding more load onto the body. Your body has to adapt to that extra weight. So one of the first benefits is improved strength and endurance. Basically, your body is holding more weight when you have a weighted vest on. The muscles are going to have to contract harder. We're going to have to recruit more muscle fibers so that your body can propel yourself through that greater amount of load. And I've actually really enjoyed using this when I've been going uphill. So I've been working on trying to maintain my pace, so walking at a good pace whilst having the weighted vest on. I mentioned in one of my previous videos that I've been feeling really strong because it's been a real focus of mine, but I haven't been feeling that fit. So it was my intention to start doing some running again, but just with some health issues, that hasn't been an option. And this is where the beauty of using a weighted vest has really come in. Because I haven't been able to push myself to the intensity of going for a run, I haven't been able to work on that real endurance and that cardiovascular element of fitness. So I think working with the weighted vest, I'm not only my muscles getting stronger in my legs, but I've been feeling really, really out of breath. It's been elevating my heart rate by the simple act of adding on the weighted vest without having to add any impact or getting to that really high intensity level that at the moment, with the health issues I've gone for, my body's just not wanted to be able to do. And I think this is a really key component when it comes to midlife. Like, I don't know about you, but I literally just do not want to work out at the same intensity that I used to do when I was much younger. Don't get me wrong, there's a time and place for having intensity in your workouts, but there are some times when you just don't want to have to do that on a continual basis. There are many times when I'm having hormonal fluctuations, I can feel like absolute garbage and my energy levels are on the floor, and to encourage myself to go and do anything at times can feel really difficult. However, I'm always motivated to go out on a walk because I absolutely love going out and walking. I just love being able to move my body, being out in nature, and plus the dogs ain't going to let me not get away with walking anyway. So if I can add a little bit of extra intensity, I'm still loading my muscles, I'm still getting my heart rate up. I've really noticed those improvements in my cardiovascular health, like when I'm just running up the stairs, I haven't been feeling as out of breath. Simple use of having that weighted vest has just got me feeling so much fitter and stronger in quite a short space of time without having to make too many different changes to my existing schedule. So yes, I already strength train, I've been keeping going with that, but just adding in this element has really helped me to get back to a space where I'm feeling fitter, even though I would say that my health is not like optimal at the moment because I've got some issues going on with my PCOS. Being able to make this one small change has just felt like a weight has been offloaded off me, in terms of like when we get to the point where I'm like, oh, am I doing enough? Am I feeling fit enough? Am I really optimizing my health? Just using that weighted vest has really helped me to feel that I am making health and fitness improvement. The other element that is really significant with using a weighted vest, that it has the power to increase your calorie burn. Again, we're looking at the same walk that I would be doing anyway, just add in the extra resistance or the extra weight, keeping in mind that I'm only using a 15-pound weighted vest, is that I have the potential to burn more calories during that same amount of time. And of course, if we could increase the weight even more, I could potentially increase and work upwards with that weight, and we could see that increase in calorie burns. Now, I did do a little experiment where I did the walk one day without the weighted vest on, and then the next day did it with the weighted vest on, and I was tracking it, just use my Garmin watch. But this is a really old watch. I could probably do with a new one. It is really not accurate when it comes to measuring my heart rate. So when I put the two walks side to side, there wasn't really a significant difference. There's also going to be these minor changes and fluctuations, like sometimes my dogs just want to take a longer time sniffing at something. It did actually take me a little bit longer on the non-weighted vest walk. So it was going to look at the calorie burn calculations in terms of like that longer walk. Didn't really take into consideration the increase in my heart rate on that weighted walk. This isn't an accurate measure. I would have been better if I had a heart rate monitor, but I'm just using what I had already available to me. So although on my experiment it didn't show much difference, there is some science to back up and show that there can be a significant increase in calorie burn by just wearing weighted vests. A 2020 study found that walking with a weighted vest over 3 weeks had participants lose about an average of 1.3 kilograms, and this was done in both men and women, but it was looking at slightly obese participants. And what's really interesting is that it was shown to be effective in reducing fat mass and body weight, but not fat-free mass, which is a great thing. So what that means is that they lost body weight, and the lost body weight came from a loss of body fat and not muscle, because we've talked about these strength benefits that we can get from walking with a weighted vest. It's helping to preserve muscle mass, which essentially is what we want. We want our body to be metabolically active, meaning that we burn more calories at rest, and we do that by sustaining our muscle mass. And it's something that I always talk about when it comes to midwife women, why we should be resistance training. And if we can now look at adding in weighted vest walking, that we can have those added benefits of maintaining muscle mass, but with the potential of extra calorie burn and burning more body fat. And I was really surprised by this, because as I came to the end of my 30-day experiment, I jumped on the scales. I really hadn't been weighing myself. I'd been pretty consistent with my average diet. I didn't make any changes with that, just stuck with my diet as it was. And I dropped 3 pounds, like without even trying. And that was really significant for me. I am someone who usually doesn't drop weight that easily without having to be very, very dialed in with my diets. And just knowing that I was feeling fitter, my legs are feeling stronger, just kind of helping to balance those energy levels like throughout the rest of the day, because generally when I didn't have my weighted vest on, I would generally feel that little bit lighter and just life felt easier. But then also having like a 3 pound weight loss for me felt pretty significant without that much effort. Yes, I get a bit more out of breath when I'm walking uphill with the vest on, but it's not like, oh, I can't be bothered doing this today because it's such a drag, it's so much effort. It's just really easy to just pop on that vest and off I go. And I must say, I do enjoy doing it, particularly on a hill, because I really feel the benefit. I feel out of breath when I'm doing it. It feels like a challenge, but not a crazy hard challenge, a doable challenge. When I'm walking on a flat now with the weighted vest, it really doesn't feel like that much of a difference. I would like to have more weight now added on so I can start to feel further progress on that. And another one of the surprising benefits, and I think that is most important for the midlife woman, is the impact that walking with weighted vests can have on bone density. As we approach peri and menopause, we get a reduction in the production of estrogen. Bone health becomes important as we have the higher risk of osteoporosis. This is your bone density and bone strength. There's some really interesting studies starting to come out on this, where they've put weighted vests onto older participants that are in nursing homes, and not only has it helped to maintain bone mineral density, but it's actually help to reverse it. That if there is this option to reduce the risk of losing a bone density, because then we've got increase of fractures and falls, and when we're talking about longevity and quality of life in later life, not breaking yourself if you should have like a slight fall or bump is a huge one to your longer term quality of life. So maybe you've never considered it, but I think it is an important element of women's health. And if it's something as simple as wearing a weighted vest, because bones grow where there are load placed on it. And I think this can also be very relevant for people who are like, yeah, you're not going to get me, I'm not going in the gym, I'm not going to be picking up any weights. And whilst I would always say that if you are going to use a weighted vest, please do and try and incorporate it with some resistance training. But I know there are some people out there like, I am never going to go and do any resistance training, but I might walk with a weighted vest on me. If that is you, then do it. If you combine the two, then I think that there will definitely be even more benefit, because some of these studies looked at like weighted exercise versus non-exercise. I think it would be interesting to see what would be the weighted exercise versus resistance training versus non-exercise. So there's more studies that need to be done. However, the science at the moment is looking really promising. Now, when it comes to selecting a weighted vest, and maybe you're like, I'm not even sure if this is going to be for me, you could also just start out, if you're like, okay, I'm hearing what you're saying, it's good for my heart health, it's good for my muscles, it's going to be good for my bone health, there's a lot of positives coming here, we're going to give it a go. You could start with something as simple as putting some weights in a rucksack and starting using a rucksack. I would say that there are sometimes some discomfort issues with using a rucksack. However, rucksacks also have around the waist so that it can distribute the weight a little bit better. As I do find with the weighted vest, sometimes you can kind of feel the pressure on the shoulders, and I had to be quite intentional about not walking around like with my shoulders shrugged up, and just to relax them down. I do think as I increase my weight more that there is the tension to feel like cricks in your neck. So these are elements that we need to keep into consideration. If you do have injuries, speak with your healthcare professional before adding this into your regime. But you could start with something as simple as putting a few tins of beans into a rucksack and starting your weighted walking journey with just the use of a rucksack. If you find that it's something that you are getting benefit from, you're starting to feel the benefits like me of feeling fitter, feeling stronger by just adding this to your walks, then you may want to invest in getting a weighted vest. I personally had one lying around that I've had for years, because I do also think that they can be beneficial for people who want to do home workouts. If you are just doing body weight home workouts, adding on a weighted vest to your home workouts can be a great way to progress those workouts by adding more resistance without having much more equipment available to you. So I've had a weighted vest for ages. It was just a cheap one that I got from Decathlon, but they do seem to have come on a lot, and there's a lot of options available, and I'll put some links down below to some of the best ones that I was able to find, because if I was going to purchase one again, I would definitely want one that has the ability to adjust the weight so that you can start lighter and you can build up over time. You add in weights by either using little weight plates or sandbags, and you can kind of load it up as and when you make your progress. So that would be definitely something that I would consider. There are also ones that come a little bit more around the waist rather than sitting on the back of the shoulders. Again, that's going to help you to distribute the weight a little bit better, as when we're doing our weighted walking, we also want to have the consideration of posture, and that it's supporting posture, and it does make you engage your core muscles more. And there's also some suggestions that it might help with posture, stability. Again, when it comes to that longevity piece, being more stable on your feet with having extra weight on you, as it builds that core strength. It comes down to it all. I was really impressed with the benefit that I felt in quite a short period of time, and without adding any extra weight. I just did that 15 pounds the entire time. I wasn't even doing it on every walk. I was doing it maybe 3 or 4 times a week. I could increase that, so I was doing it on every dog walk. I could do that when I'm doing housework, walking around the house. There's so much versatility with such a simple tool such as the weighted vest. And when it comes to women's health, if we want to be able to get more bang for our buck, to be able to burn more calories, to keep our body more metabolically active with the things that we're already doing without adding any more onto your plate, I think it's a great tool to utilize. I've seen and felt the benefits, and maybe if you consider it, that you might too. So let me know, have you ever tried using a weighted vest? Have you noticed any benefits? And let me know down in the comments what you would like to see more of.